Yeah, I wanna go like a dumpling, I'm in the club like a pumpkin, I'm in the club and I'm scented, I'm in the club and I'm crumping, you better watch you bumping, I ain't really with the friends, and I be getting to the yeah, I be getting to the spot, yeah, I be running to the yeah, I'm in the club like a pumpkin, I'm in the club and I'm scented, I'm in the club and I'm crumping, you better watch you bumping.
What's up guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now since I have to redo this video, which is going to be a fucking pain in the ass, it might come out later than you expect, but I kind of want to address one thing before I get into today's video. So I was scrolling through my comment section, hearting every single fucking comment like usual, right? Until I found something that actually managed to catch my interest. It was specifically this comment, not only because they gave their own unique opinion and didn't be a bot like everybody else, right? But one part that really catches my eye the most is when they're talking about the basic criticism part. Now instead of raging like every single other small commentary squeaker when somebody doesn't understand what they're talking about, I'm actually going to elaborate and say why I called it basic criticism. Now if we look at one of the tweets from Fry, he's basically telling Harley, hey, maybe delete the original tweets and then censor the person that you're talking about next time you tweet about it, which is basic criticism. You don't have to worry about the word retard much. It's not something that people could make an argument out of. And if we read the other reply, which was from Strikus, they're basically telling Harley that he's already sending the kid hate just by the original tweet. And if you go back to the Twitter argument, which is still up to this day, you can literally see that Strikus follows up to Harley on what they want him to do. Harley's first instinct was to make the arguments look like hypocrisy, play the victim and say that they were replying to them with slurs, and then call them insane when they actually have a point. So Harley is so much of a sensitive fucking pussy that he won't actually address the argument. But now that I've addressed that bit and talked about some things that I haven't in the content nuke, I'm now gonna be talking about in this nuclear fallout how Harley TBS is hypocritical and walking talking contradiction, and also how he's a manipulative liar. Alright, so for my first hypocrisy point, Harley talking about other creators not being able to take criticism when he does the exact same thing and he nitpicks criticism that he'll take. Example A, Harley TBS's response video to Speed.
You know, to check out my Twitter, I'd post over there sometimes. You'd be the opposite of Speed, who, as I correctly predicted in my last video, unfollowed me right after I criticized him. Speed is a content creator I've engaged with in the past, and we both mutually follow each other on Twitter, though I suspect that may change by the end of this video. These people genuinely can't take criticism despite that being their entire career.
Oh wow, Mr. TBS, it's almost like you do the exact same thing. You even did the exact same thing during the Technoblade situation with Fry and Strikus, as I provided earlier. You didn't want to address the argument, you didn't want to take the criticism, and you wanted to make them look like hypocrites. You did nothing but play the victim, and you weaseled away from the argument. So actually try and address the argument instead of victimizing yourself and looking for every possible thing to make yourself look better than the people you're having an argument with. And, which is the dumbest shit of all time to me, you literally did the exact same thing with Joe Kuhn. And also Foxton, I kind of almost forgot about Fox, but essentially, he gave you critique and you tried to make it look as worse as possible.
Is he the boogeyman? What is keeping you from being public about it?
Because the dude wants attention. I was sent his channel, and it reeks of attention-seeking behavior.
You know, not to be that guy, but I find it ironic someone who puts their trauma on blast for views and ad revenue is claiming someone else is attention-seeking. My point here is that you can't call someone else an attention seeker when the other party uploads videos about their past trauma with social media plugins and ads across the board. You see, my main criticism was that Harley was plugging his socials and placing ads on videos where they discussed their past trauma. These traumas range from being bullied all the way to being groomed. Unfortunately, this is something that did happen to Harley. Now, what happens next is that Harley takes what I said here out of context, where they say the following.
Whose trauma?
He's saying I'm attention-seeking because I make a video discussing being groomed. Yikes.
Demonizing the argument and misconstruing what I say, pretty PogChamp. if I do say so myself.
Now, Harley did remove all of the ads after he was called out and clowned on, but the thing is, he's literally making fun of others for not taking critique despite that being their entire career, when he's the same thing all over again. Alright, so let's get to my second hypocrisy point, and this one involves false copyright strikes. So Harley likes to make videos criticizing people like Jalen and Kai Wise for abusing the copyright system and filing false copyright strikes, but the thing is, Harley has done the exact same thing. You know, it's actually kind of autistic. I don't see why you're making videos on people like Jalen and Kai Wise when you yourself aren't any better. I mean, you're a manipulative liar, a walking talking contradiction, and a fucking piece of shit. Alright, listen, we're going to get there, just let me finish up this section first. But back to my second hypocrisy point. So, what's the context of this situation here? So, people were clowning on Harley for his lolly video, and then he decided to delete it and take it down. Akumu decided to re-upload the video as an archive of some sort. Harley then continued to strike the video down without having any second thoughts, and that's how the situation sparked up in the first place, with Harley not thinking before he acts. He does spend an awfully painfully long amount of time trying to justify his false flag, while at the same time, he's also trying to play the victim, so that's kind of nice. You're probably wondering about the video that I'm talking about. Well, it's actually a video that I haven't fully covered yet, but it is something that I have already mostly talked about, and that's his second video on Mr. Sen.
What I think it's really telling about all this is how he goes on to play victim on Twitter, trying to gain the sympathy of his followers once again. And here's another thing that's gonna be hilarious, I'll point out in a second. Harley says, imagine finding a poor take someone made without research years ago that they don't agree with and using it to try and ruin their life. Gross. He's talking about himself, by the way. How can we tell he's talking about himself? Because he then replies to an individual that calls him out. I'm in a weird spot. I respect yourself and the other in question, but I think copyright striking them was a bit too far after asking for a sequel. Yeah, they re-uploaded an old video of yours. You too need to get into a call and sort your shit out. FFS. And Harley replies, hit the re-upload of my content. Of course I struck it down. Just like Ethan Ralph would. Now here's the thing. I'm not poking at Ethan Ralph because I don't have a problem with him and he doesn't seem to have a problem with me. But it's still worth pointing out some of the similarities behind Ethan Ralph and Harley TBS?
Yeah, no. Obviously that tweet was about my situation. I explained that to anyone who asked it to me, and I made my thread afterwards going through everything. That was literally just me being so fucking disappointed that people were trying to use a clip from years ago to make it seem like I defended anything like that at all. It is so disingenuous of you to twist that narrative into that way to make it seem like I'm a way worse person than I am, and then you tried to claim that I did what Ethan Ralph did by taking it down. Taking down something that is within your copyrighted content with no added content is fair and justified.
Especially when it comes to flagging. See, recently, remember how I mentioned that Augie and Ralph had a falling out? That was because Ralph struck down a YouTube channel that re-uploaded clips of his stream. Now, previously, Ralph had allowed this to happen and allowed to go on because he made a deal with this person. However, they then had a falling out, and so Ralph was angry at them, and he had every incentive to strike down this person just to fuck with them.
Again, that's complete proof that I'm not correlated to Ethan Ralph in any way. He tried to silence someone because he had a falling out with them. I took down content that I had the copyright to take down. What the fuck is the correlation here?
That both of you are false flaggers.
I never once said that you or that other person could use my content in full with or without crediting me. How dare you twist the narrative so severely to make it seem like I support deplatforming in any way or would silence people like this because I had a falling out with them. What is wrong with you? I mean, I never struck down Luke, I've never struck down any other YouTuber that's used my content in any way that transforms it, but I have taken down content that uses my content without consent and re-uploads it in full.
Jesus Christ, you are autistic as fuck. Harley, nobody needs your permission or consent for a re-upload as an archive. What the fuck is your problem? All of this just feels like some stupid ass art commentary bullshit. Like, nigga, nobody needs to hold your hand to upload a video as an archive. You can't just go around false flagging people because you falsely flagging down videos that were uploaded as archives. It's the sole reason why somebody's Google account got disabled. It's because of someone like you. I can't be on this section anymore. any longer, let's just move on to our second point. First instance of Harley being a walking, talking contradiction is when Harley said that he never defended lolly content. This again was in his response to Mr. Sen, haha.
Sen cherry picks his points very disingenuously here, to make it seem like I'm silencing anyone that tries to call me out, and that I'm defending lolly pornography. I never did that, I never will. I want to make a more serious video today about what some people are trying to call is child porn, which is anime lollies, okay? And I want to clear up that it's not child porn, okay? I get 15-year-old doesn't know what they're talking about type of shit. Some people feeling a type of way about the fact that I'm young. But I think my opinion is quite important in this because I've done a lot of the research. And obviously I'm one of the only people that have actually done research on this. Because so many people seem to think that they're geniuses. Apparently, being a lolicon makes you a pedophile, because one dub accidentally translated it wrongly. And I think this is a big issue when some people have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Saying lolicon is literally a pedo, though they're attracted to a childlike character, so I'd say that was one that they got right. And some people are really stupid, right? Because I get being a lolicon is kind of weird, but the actual meaning of a lolicon is someone that's attracted to an adult with childlike features, or that's the Japanese term. And in Japan, the age of consent is 13, which I get doesn't change much, but it's still important in the argument, the fact that the age of consent is 13. Also, when you look at it objectively, hentai and lolly hentai is very much legal, and there are many sites you can access it on Google. Child porn is not legal and can't be found anywhere. Also, a picture does not have to consent, okay? A picture can't consent because a 16-year-old in a hentai hasn't had 16 years of experience in real life. They aren't actually 16 years old, and they don't have the mentality of a 16-year-old. Therefore, it's not child porn of a 16-year-old. Also, they're not a real person, which means that you're not violating their rights, and they are very much... pictures can't consent, right? And there's also another issue I see people saying where lolly porn will cause pedophilia. And this argument seems just about as contrived and invalid as the video games cause violence argument.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
God damn, you even said the same thing to Speed in your argument, saying that, hey, I never defended lolly pornography. What the fuck are you talking about, you degenerate ass nigga? Basically just saying that because Speed called him out for defending lolicon, now he's gonna say that Speed is cutting context.
Mr. Electric, send this nigga to the penis explosion chamber and have his penis exploded immediately!
I'm starting to think that Bored Oranges was right about using cut context as a buzzword, because Harley is doing the exact same thing in this argument. So the second instance in which Harley was being a walking talking contradiction, which was when he said he did research on the topic he talked about in this lolly video. This shit just gets worse.
Anyway, luckily I got it before he took it down, and if he doesn't want to be a little bitch, he won't take this down, and instead he'll explain why he consistently lies at every turn. The comment we want to look at right now is, imagine finding a poor take someone made without research. Here's a go. Okay, the keywords here that you want to look for is made without research. Okay, you ready? You ready? Here.
Okay. I get 15-year-old doesn't know what they're talking about type of shit. Some people feeling a type of way about the fact that I'm young. But I I think my opinion is quite important in this because I've done a lot of the research. I've done a lot of the research. Dude, I just wanted to sound cool. It was a facecam video with no editing. Of course I didn't do research.
Thanks for trying to make sense point look like a nothing burger. What the fuck is Harley's logic when it comes to countering these types of points? And in that same video itself, he's literally trying to manipulate and downplay what he did with the false copyright strike he placed on Akumu. Yes, that Akumu. Harley's getting mad at somebody else for falsely copyright striking the same person that he fucking false copyright struck.
Fucking stupid faggot!
Harley recently struck another video that was making the rounds after I posted my initial video of him lying. And this video was basically a re-upload of Harley where he defended Lolly, which is hilarious given how he's trying to use the whole Lolly thing to defame me right now and slander me based off of what? Misrepresentation and no context at all.
Sen quite geniusly compares our two actions to make it seem like I was being hypocritical. The difference is, Sen was in a chat with someone enjoying and getting off to lolly pornography. However, my point was that I made a video where I shared the point that I thought that lolly pornography had contribution to decreasing pedophilia in Japan. This was a point that someone came to me and showed me the research I'd seen, which was the Anime Man's video. From it was wrong information and that my point was wrong. As such, I realized my mistake and I took it down, and I've never ever tried to hide that video from anyone. In fact, when Akumu, the person who originally posted the video, got struck down by me because they re-uploaded my content like I'd strike down any re-upload, they contacted me, we talked it all out, I explained to them why I took it down, and I agreed with them that I will remove the strike as long as they're willing to privatize my content and not re-upload my content onto their channel without adding extra content. I even told them that if they wanted to make their own video using that footage, going through it, breaking it down, and highlighting how my points were wrong, they could. I have no issue with people using my content if it's transformed. I took down their video because it was a re-upload. I've explained that to them, and in my whole thread, I explained that I did that as well. I know some people will think that it's wrong to strike down re-uploads of deleted videos. Personally, I didn't.
Thanks for telling us you're a false flagger, Harley. It's not that hard to look at you and say false flagger. It literally takes a simple Google search to prove you wrong. And if you're stubborn enough, all I have to do is go down to one of the related questions on Google that asks the same thing, and voila. It's magic. And even in Harley's Twitter thread, where he says, I promise you guys 150% honesty, which that in itself is a fucking lie, he says that he asked if archiving falls under fair use, and that YouTube said that it doesn't. Recently, people have been uploading this video without any editing. I reached out to YouTube and asked if this violated their guidelines on copyright, and they said it did. Hold on a second. This sneaky bastard. He asked them if people re-uploading videos violated their guidelines, but he didn't ask if it was for archiving purposes that violated guidelines. This nigga knew it was for archiving purposes, and he knew if he asked YouTube if it was for archiving purposes, right, that violated guidelines, he would have looked like a fucking idiot. In conclusion, he likes to play the victim and he's a manipulative fucking twink, so Harley TBS 0 out of 10.